Aaron Rodgers. First thing you think with Aaron Rodgers is like, why would he even be available, right? Like, he's in the NFC Championship game. Well, let's just put it this way. Hold on. Before I get his contract up, they did draft Jordan Love this year.
They did.
I'm sure that pissed him off.
Oh, yeah. If
they lose this weekend, God forbid, and they could, and the offense doesn't look that great, there'll be a lot of finger pointing. It could get bitter. He may be available if they lose this weekend. What do you think as I get his contract up?
He has to force himself out, right?
Yes.
That's the thing, right? And, it's weird, right? Because I've had this discussion like within my own mind, right? Did the Packers draft Jordan Love realistically to prepare for the future or to find some way to motivate Aaron Rodgers this way? Because Aaron Rodgers is playing with a chip on his shoulder these last 2 years, right? And this year he's the MVP. He's the MVP this year. That's it. I don't want to hear any more about anybody else. He's played that well. And, it has to be that he has to force his way out, man. They would have to flame out. They would have to get washed like how the 49ers washed them last year. They would have to get washed, I think, for that to happen.
Okay, so it seems unlikely, but let's stick with this for a second. Let's look at the contract because, as I said, the NFL was not expecting the pandemic. It was not expecting the cap to go down. There are these vet quarterbacks that are all of a sudden no longer feasible on their current team. Does Rodgers fit in? Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Boom. Okay, here he is. What I'm seeing from Aaron Rodgers is in 2020, a cap number of 21.6, cap percentage of 10.6. That's beautiful for a Hall of Fame quarterback. But in 2021, his cap number goes up to 37 and his cap percentage goes up to 20.6. That's a non-starter, Jason. You can't do that. So to me, you see what I'm saying? So to me, I got a couple options here. You can renegotiate the contract, lock him in long-term, but you just drafted Jordan Love or you could trade him.
Yeah.
I don't know. If they win the Super Bowl, you're not going to trade Aaron Rodgers. But if they lose this weekend, how are you going to ask him? What are they going to do? It becomes interesting. To me, I think it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. And like I said, it just has to be with straight up forcing his way out. And I think that all right, this is me with no sort of basis, insider knowledge, anything like that. I just always want to believe in the good of man. But if he comes over here and he realizes that his cap is so high, his cap number is so high, I have a feeling that Aaron Rodgers would negotiate his deal to change it up because the amount of championships that they would be in position to win with him there is probably 2 or 3 in a row with this roster.
I mean, and he's playing in a very similar system, so I think he could probably hit the ground running pretty quickly with the 49ers. Yeah. Let's look again and see what the difference is pre-June 1, post-June 1, just to see when Green Bay would trade him if they were to trade him. Pre-June 1, they get $31 million in dead cap. Post-June 1, it's 14. So to me, that's good news for the 49ers because you don't want to trade that 12th pick this year. You'd be much more into trading post-June 1 and giving up the 2021 pick, the 2022 pick, the 2023 pick. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, and
that's good news.
That is good news, and you have to hope that the Packers see it the same way as well. It's funny, right? The Packers drafted Aaron Rodgers while Brett Favre was still playing at a pretty high level, pissed him off, and he wound up getting himself out of there too. Rodgers, Rodgers is not going to sit around and play pet with anybody else at this point. Like, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, if they feel like, look, we didn't win it this year with Rodgers at 10% of the cap. We're definitely not going to win it next year with Rodgers at 20% of the cap. He's not going to renegotiate because he's still pissed at us for drafting Jordan Love. We like Jordan Love. We want to move on to Jordan Love eventually. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll trade. Now the question is, what does it take to get Aaron Rodgers coming off an MVP season, still only about 37 years old? They might be able to get a whole hell of a lot for Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah,
absolutely. They still can. Since
the lines we get for Stafford.
Right. And then you have to remember a team that's given up something for him, whether that's the 49ers or somebody else, is expecting to immediately be a Super Bowl contender. So that's what the Packers have to hang their hat on, is knowing that they can grift people and say, yeah, well, you want to win a Super Bowl? Give us more.
Right. So it makes sense. He's one more time. Let's look at it. How much would he cost the 49ers? If they were to trade for him, he would cost them less than 23 million next year. That's not too much. It's about right about the upper limit. And then after that, it would be 25. I mean, that's cool for the greatest quarterback of all time. It's just, how many first round picks are you trading? Probably more than Stafford, not as many as Watson, but a whole lot. And now you got to get him back by trading Debo eventually, Bosa eventually, which I'm cool with actually. So if they traded for Rodgers, they would win Super Bowls. Even Kyle Shanahan could win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers.
See, Grant.
No, I'm saying, like, Kyle Shanahan makes bad decisions in the way that Andy Reid always made bad decisions, kind of with game management or toward the end. And now he has his quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, where it doesn't really matter. The margin for error is so beyond, it doesn't matter. Like, Andy Reid's great now. I think if you gave Kyle Shanahan Aaron Rodgers, they'd win the Super Bowl. Probably should have won it with Matt Ryan, too. If they had Robert Saleh instead of Dan Quinn in Atlanta, they probably would have won that Super Bowl, too, with Matt Ryan. But, if they can get Aaron Rodgers, I'm not really worried about the picks. He's financially feasible. Get him.
Right. One more thing that I want to point out too is I don't think anybody's talking about is that just because this year the cap is going down or anything like that doesn't mean that the initial plan for the cap doesn't change, right? So We're talking about cap numbers right now, but we don't know what 2022's cap's going to look like. We don't know what 2023's cap's going to look like, because if things get back to normal, whenever that is, and we can put butts in seats, then the plan goes back into motion about the cap being raised, right? So this is what I mean about not worrying too far down the line, because there's so many things that are variables, right? Mm-hmm. You can say, hey, we're going to bring this guy in, but he'll be expensive down the line. We won't be able to pay people. Well, do we know if the cap's going to go up to what it's originally supposed to, or is it going to go up higher? That's the thing, knows? Right?
Yeah.
Right. So I am always going to bank on what I know rather than what I think is going to happen. And I think that's probably the best way to look at it.